Coming up, part 2 of our transition from a rye or a winter rye oversow back to a Tiftuf lawn here at Ben's place. So it was about a month ago that I came down and we hit this area with some tribute to kill off the ryegrass. It was also the day that Ben let me loose on his mow master, or behind his mow master, and I wrecked it, sort of.
Oh, fixed.
The knob came off.
Yeah.
Anyway, today we're going to now move on to the actual mechanical side, if you will, of returning this lawn back to a Tiftuf lawn for the summer. Now, as we look around here, in the last time, if you haven't seen the video, go back and have a look at it, but we've killed off this now, and although it doesn't look like it has, when we get down nice and close, we can see now that we're getting lots of cooch pushed through, and we can actually quite easily pull out the rye. So although it's still holding its colour, rest assured, the chemical has done its job quite well. So today it's going to be very, very similar to a normal style renovation. We're going to use a scarifier, we're going to mow short, and we're going to top dress, fertilise, etc. So as we look around the lawn, you'll see some sections are actually pretty much already fully back to cooch, and there's some sections over here that are still in a transition phase, but as you can see, we are now in a great situation here to do the full transformation today. Okay, because this ryegrass is sort of really easy to sort of pull out, I'm going to set this scarifier quite a bit deeper than what I would normally, just to help sort of penetrate down just into that upper root zone just a slight bit, just to really help to dredge out and to pull out the last of this rye. Now look, there will be little bits of rye that will survive this and will come back through, and it may be a case that Ben might have to do a further application throughout the season of his tribute, but given the hot weather that's on the way, he can also control the rye by just starving this just slightly of water, just stress that ryegrass out. Obviously, as the temperatures down here hit into the 30s, you're going to find that ryegrass is really going to struggle. So that can be another cultural control measure, is to back off the water just a slight bit if he's having quite a bit of rye come back, which he shouldn't, but there will be some. So we'll set this to lower, we'll set this down low than usual, I should say, and we'll head over this twice as I do per usual. We'll pick it up and we'll see what we're left with. It's really important though, if you've got in-ground sprinklers and you're going to be setting a scarifier to go a little bit lower than usual, be sure that you mark out your sprinklers. Otherwise, you might find you're up for new sprinklers when this thing smashes them, because it's going to do that. Righto, so done a little test pass here now, and although it doesn't look like heaps of stuff's been brought up, and really, nor should it, because we're not dealing with a thatchy lawn like a cooch or Bermuda grass can be, we are just trying to thin out some ryegrass. Now, don't know how well you can see this on camera, but that is penetrating down quite a way into the soil profile there, and by the time we get our Victor on here and take out the last of it, it's really going to open up. It's going to bring in the sunlight, and it's going to allow that Tiftuf to really push back through in a really, really good time frame. So we'll crack on now. We'll get Ben behind the 46, and we'll start the transition back to Tiftuf. Okay, so double scarify complete now, and actually Ben and I were just talking briefly off camera about this section here. So the front of Ben's house faces south, and throughout the winter, and as same as in last week's video, this area would have seen very minimal sunlight all winter long. Now, this is potentially, although there is some Tiftuf here through the edges, through here is probably going to be rather slow to re-establish. And I think Ben was mentioning to me there earlier that he is actually considering putting a concrete pathway through here down the track anyway, just because this has always been a little bit of a problem child for him, even normally.
Yeah, you can see the difference in the moisture just being held
because
in the metre off the garden bed.
Because, as I said, because this section here does see nothing but, you know, shade, the moisture is higher here. Ryegrass is loving that. Cooch is going to be a little bit of a struggle to come back, but it certainly will do. But yeah, I think going forward, ideally a pathway renew the garden, and a pathway here will take care of any future issues. Anyway, now we'll crack on. We'll pick all this up with the rotary mower, we'll pick it up in the catcher, and then we'll shave it right down with the little Victor Scalpy mower and see what we are left with. While Ben's getting the last of that picked up, our scarifyings, I'll hook in and I'll start scalping down this lawn just to help things move, things along. Well, mate, that's the rye gone for, well, maybe ever, or will you do it again next year, do you think?
Probably
will.
Depending on time.
It is a lot of work, but you've done a great job, mate, and you got a lot of positive feedback, and it was a real credit to you, because a winter rye oversow is actually very time consuming. It's not really a set and forget. It really is probably one for the fanatics. You know, the ryegrass does have a higher fertilizer content requirement. It's a very hungry sort of grass.
Yeah.
Did you find that?
Yeah, You have to constantly keep that feeding regime up to it.
It's a hungry grass. It likes a feed for it to do its best. Okay, so from here on in, we're going to go on to top dressing now. Fertilising. You've got a celloprene to put down.
Yep.
So celloprene is our 6 monthly application for our lawn grubs, our armyworms, our scarabs, our black beetles, stem weevils, etc. And as I've been talking about recently, we are heading into a really dry summer. So one of the key things going forward this year for all you guys at home is using soil wetters. We're going to make sure that we keep our soils well hydrated while still being efficient with the amount of water that we put out. So we'll do that. So we'll do, as I said, we'll do our top dressing now. We'll rub that in. We'll chuck out our celloprene and our fertiliser, put down some soil wetter, water it all in, job's done. What we'll do now is we're just going to find a happy medium with the settings on this top dressing machine. So we'll do a little test run now, and we'll get the desired amount out, and then we'll hook in and do the rest. So as you can see here, when that sand is perfectly dry, it doesn't actually hold in there. So we get the spillage of the sand. Okay, so it's really important to have some moisture content in it, or expect to lose a bit. That won't matter because we can sweep these sections up back onto the lawn. But it's just worth noting a little bit more soil moisture content is probably ideal for what's going on here. So let's have a look now. This is a fairly grainy sort of sand. It's probably not ultra ideal, but it is what was available at the time. Ben bought a heap when we did the rye oversow, so he's got to get through it. So unfortunately, it is a little bit too granular or a bit too grainy for general use, but it'll be okay. It'll be okay by the time the cooch goes through it all. It'll be fine. And sometimes you just got to work with what you've got. So we'll load him back up now. I think it might be my turn to have a go. So unfortunately this top dress really isn't suitable, but it's here and I've used it. It can often be really hard to find decent topsoil. It's one of the main questions I get. People ask me is, where do I get my sand from? How do I do this? How do I do that? The advice I've got is, don't simply ring up a landscape supply mob. Go there and have a look yourself. Unfortunately what we've got here, or what we've got left here, is something very, very gravelly, and Ben's going to be very, very careful now once he puts his cylinder mower back on this. But luckily enough for him, he's planning to run it fairly tall this season, so it shouldn't really be a concern. So we'll put this one down to experience and something to avoid for next time. But yeah, guys, look, I can't stress it enough. If you're looking for top dress and you're unsure, and if you, for example, call up a yard and ask them about 80-20 or 70-30 or USGA, and you get the impression they don't really know what you're talking about, then it's almost certain they don't have what you're looking for. So we've done our best here to rub the worst of this stuff off to the edge, which we'll now scoop up. There will be still a few bits and pieces through here, but once the grass grows through, it shouldn't be as much as a concern. But it's very, very important the first mow isn't too soon, because we don't want to pick any of this up in the reel because it will damage it. And if this was going to be mown at a really short height of cut, we'd be in a little bit of strife. But because we're aiming for that sort of 12mm height, should be fairly safe. But yeah, just be aware of that one, guys. All right, let's push that bad sand experience behind us now. We'll move on to some fertiliser and some celloprene, like I do with all my renos. Strongly recommend the Plant Doctor Champion Lawn and Greens grade fertiliser. This is basically the product that Ben used with his rye throughout the season. Had fantastic results, as you saw. We are going to go to the upper rate here again today, which is 4 kilos per 100 square metres. We really want to give this cooch a push in the bum to get it moving, to A, get this gravelly sand sort of beneath its leaf canopy, and B, just to start to really push it through with these nice warm days coming. Then we'll lay out our acelepryn, which will give us our grub control. Again, 6 months control with acelepryn, covers all the big numbers that are going to do a number on your lawn. Really great thing about acelepryn is it's actually safe. It's derived from natural ingredients and it doesn't have a scheduled rating. So it's actually a natural product. There's no requirement for the PPE that you might associate with more traditional harmful style chemicals. Plus it lasts, as I said, for the 6 months. We'll get these out now. Then Ben's going to chuck out some soil wetter. Again, as we mentioned earlier, soil wetter very important for this season, being hot and dry forecast, followed by a nice irrigation. And then there's maybe one last little thing we're going to do that I haven't yet told you about. So fertiliser's gone out, our acelepryn's gone out. All we've got left now to do is put out the soil wetter, then turn on the sprinklers.
Yep.
But you've got a question.
Yeah. While you're down here running,
yes.
You reckon you could run that, the scarifier over my little buffalo patch that's
So you want me to scarify buffalo?
Yes, please.
That's meant to be like this big no-no, but I do scarify buffalo. So
I think it needs some love.
All right, let's hook in. Let's run that 46 over Ben's little patch of Sir Walter buffalo.
Sir Walter
buffalo. Let's run over that there now, make a bit of a mess. And if you're going to scarify buffalo, it's really important that you don't go right the way down to ground, because if we take away all of the material, there's going to be nothing left. So we need to make sure that we leave a skeleton of grass beneath it. I've now raised up the front wheels as high as they'll go. The back wheels are still set at where they were before, but this should just give it a nice little tickle up on this here. So we'll go over it once, have a look at it, pick up the material with the catcher mower, have a look at it. That's probably going to be enough. I don't really feel 2 is going to be required, but we'll just have a little bit of a play around with it and see how we go. It's actually thinned out not too badly. Just having a look here now, just to see if I could potentially sneak over it at that height a bit taller. I sort of think we might be able to, because we've gone fairly shallow, and I reckon one other direction there in this situation will be okay. So we'll go over it again now, just that other direction. As I said, this is a very light one. We'll give it a mow. We're not going crazy scalps or anything silly like that. Just wanted to thin out a bit of that puffy sponginess, and I think we're going to achieve it. Righto, so have a look here now. Really, that's much better. You can see now, we can sort of see down a little bit more into the canopy there. Opened it up nicely. So we'll clean this up now to give us a clearer indication of what we're left with. What's your thoughts, Ben?
A lot better.
A lot better?
Yeah.
Yep, there you go. So we haven't done anything silly, we haven't gone crazy low.
That's just what it needed.
Just sort of thinned out the mess and the thickness of it all. So we'll clean it up and we'll have a look at it then. Righto, so that's all we need to do there, guys. Look, much better now. See how we've thinned it right out. We've still got grass. We haven't killed our buffalo. We've done nothing silly or ridiculous like that. Just done a bit of a hider cut reset and a very, very light scarify. And this here will recover in next to no time. So we better be sure to put a bit of fertilizer out for this one as well. And there you go, guys. It can be done. You don't have to do anything silly with it, anything crazy with it. Just enough to break out of that real puffy, spongy sort of stuff. You can, in certain cases, go deeper, but here, that's all it needed. Okay, final step, or second last step really, is the application now of our soil wetter. Now Ben's chucking it out there now. Always best to apply this stuff when temperatures are a little bit cooler, so first thing in the morning or later in the afternoon. If you have an established lawn, it can actually discolour the lawn a bit with the heat. But because there's nothing really here to discolour, it's not really an issue for us today. We'll give this a really good drink in after it's down, and now we just sit back, relax and wait for the cooch to return. Now, probably something I didn't cover in my last renovation video was frequency of watering after renovation. So ideally, we're at the beginning of the season, based on if you've already got a fairly moist soil profile, maybe give it one extra cycle per week than what you're currently doing. So if you're watering twice a week, maybe do 3 times a week just for a couple of weeks. If perhaps you're doing once a week, maybe double it. We don't need to flood irrigate this, but we do need to give this grass a little bit of extra moisture just to help it recover along with the fertilizer. So that's the best way to describe it. Just up your watering by a little bit, so one extra cycle, you know, 3 times a week instead of 2, or 2 instead of 1, etc. And before you know it, we'll be back to having a lovely green cooch lawn. Righto, so from here on in, as I said, we're just going to put the sprinklers on, keep this well irrigated. Thanks for having us again, mate.
Thanks for your hand.
That's all right, mate. Nah, anytime. From here on in, as I said, a bit of extra water, keep it going, keep it all ticking over nicely. And that's really about the size of it, mate. I think we should go and hit the pub and have a cannery.
Sounds good to me.
Let's do that. All right, guys, you have a fantastic weekend. We'll catch you next time on the Aussie Lawn.